everyone, what's up? Well, I'm Neha Upadhyay and I'm back with very important life process, another one of course after digestion, which is respiration. So today we are going to understand about human respiratory system, right? The first of the very important question is, what is respiration? Now respiration, if I have to define it in the simplest way, it is a metabolic process by which an organism obtains energy by taking in oxygen and releasing carbon dioxide from oxidation of food. Now this oxidation of food is very important over here. What is the meaning of oxidation? Oxidation means addition of oxygen. So whatever air you inhale in, that oxygen reacts chemically with the food. That is oxidation, and that results in the formation or in the release of carbon dioxide that you exhale out. Water, that of course is used up in the body, and a lot of energy that we need for performing various activities. Yeah, so it's a chemical process, yes. Now let's dig in deeper and understand what are the different parts that a human respiratory system consists of. As you can see, there's an elaborated diagram over here for you. So it consists of two external nostrils, nose, mouth, nasal chamber, pharynx, larynx, also known as voice box, and Adam's apple. Now why Adam's apple? We'll see towards the end of the video. Trachea, which is commonly known as windpipe, then a pair bronchus, plural bronchi, and a pair of lungs. Right? These are the important parts. Now let's understand what each and every part does. Right? So we'll start with the external nostril. These are the two external apertures referred to as and known as nostrils. Now what do the nostrils contain? They contain fine hair, right? What do the hairs do? They filter the air that we inhale, right? So that if there's any dust particle, they should trap it. You know, they act like a filtering agent. What else do they have? It's in the nostrils, they're aligned with olfactory epithelium that has olfactory receptors. Olfactory receptors are the specialized receptors that help us to smell. So we are able to distinguish the smell of an incense stick and a rotten egg. It is because of the credit goes to, of course, the olfactory receptors present in the nostrils. Well, yeah. Then comes nose. In the nose, we have a nasal chamber. Now, the nasal chamber performs these following functions. First, it warms the air, right? The blood which is present in the nasal chamber and the blood capillaries surrounding it. It comes in contact with the air and it warms the air, brings it to the body temperature, which is very important, by the way. It adds moisture because there is mucus present in the nasal chamber. So there are specialized goblet cells that secrete mucus. Now this mucus adds moisture, so it moistens the air, and in addition it also helps in trapping the dust particles because they're sticky. So if there are any dust particles, they get stuck to the mucus in the nasal chamber itself. Then next, the air moves down and enters the next part, which is pharynx. Now this pharynx is a common passage for air and food. So we can say till pharynx there is no distinction of esophagus, which is the food pipe, wherein the food or the bolus enters, and trachea, which is also known as the windpipe. It is after the pharynx that they divide, right? Then we have larynx, which is also known as voice box. Now why voice box? Because there are vocal cords, two vocal cords present in it. Now when you inhale air, the vocal cords vibrate and helps in the production of sound. So for this reason, of course, larynx is also known as voice box. Right. Next we have trachea, which is commonly known as windpipe. What you can see over here, the trachea is covered with, it is entirely covered with C-shaped cartilaginous rings. Alright, C-shaped, and the rings that are made up of cartilage. So C-shaped cartilaginous rings. Now the important question is, why is trachea covered with C-shaped cartilaginous rings? Well, if it prevents the collapse of trachea, if in case there is less air present in it. When you inhale and then you exhale, during that interval between your inhalation and exhalation, right, there is very less air present inside the trachea, so it may collapse. So in order to prevent that, there are C-shaped cartilaginous rings that prevents its collapse even if there is less air in it during the breaths, right? Now we know trachea single, but we have a pair of lungs, right? So before it has to enter the respective lungs on the left and the right side, it needs to divide. So this trachea, as you can see, there is a bifurcation of trachea. It divides, right? Now that is known as bronchus, which is singular. Collectively, both the bronchus, they're known as bronchi, right? Now we have what's inside the detailed structure over here, right? They're present in both, but just so that the diagram is more clear, so I have only drawn it in the right lung. All right, it's not like these structures are only present in right lung and not in the left lung. Of course not. All right, you can see this bronchus, when it enters, it keeps on dividing, and can you see the profuse branching over here? It keeps on dividing and redividing. So the bronchus will divide into secondary bronchus, tertiary bronchus, and so on, and will then form the bronchiole, right? Now this bronchiole, it is without cartilaginous rings, right? And it is very fine. Its diameter is just 1 millimeter. So bronchioles, which are formed because of the result of profuse branching and repeated division of bronchus, they're just 1 millimeter in diameter and they do not have cartilage rings, right? Now these bronchioles, they ultimately terminate into the structures, the balloon-like or sac-like structures that are known as alveoli, singular alveolus. But here I am considering a lot of alveoli. In fact, the number is in millions. So alveoli. This alveoli happens to be the site of exchange of gases. What are the gases here? Respiratory gases, of course, oxygen and carbon dioxide. Right. Now, important question that I've already asked is why there is a need of profuse branching, right? So the answer is, if there is profuse branching, there are more bronchioles. If there are more bronchioles, there will be more number of alveoli. More or the number of alveoli, more will be the surface area for exchange of gases. And the exchange of gases are going to be quick, it's going to be very efficient if there are more number of alveoli, which is at approximately, I think, 3 million, right? So that is the reason of profuse branching of bronchus inside the lung. What else do we have? If we see, I have written left lung, it's just 2 lobes, right? Whereas the right lung has 3 lobes. What are lobes? Lobes are the chambers. So why is left lung only containing 2 lobes, right? Because it has to accommodate the heart. So it's slightly smaller. You can say left lung is slightly smaller than the right lung, so as to accommodate the heart. As you can see, the heart is present at the center, but its apex is towards the left side. So in order to accommodate that, it only has 2 lobes, and it is slightly smaller so that it can accommodate the heart. Now, I was talking about alveoli being the site of exchange of gases. What makes it most efficient for the exchange of gases, right? So the answer is number 1. It has characteristic features, by the way. It is thin-walled. Now, imagine the exchange of gases is happening via diffusion, right? So the membranes, whether it is thin-walled or thick-walled, they act like barriers. So if you have to cross a barrier, if the barrier is thick, if the wall is thick, it will take time. However, if the wall is thin, the gases will not take a lot of time. So what will facilitate an efficient and quick exchange of gases via diffusion? Of course, the presence of thin walls. So alveoli, they are thin wall, 1 cell thick, very fine. Then what else? Because of the presence of mucus, their surface is moist, which further facilitates the exchange of gases, oxygen and carbon dioxide. Then they are highly vascular. That means each alveolus, and of course many alveoli, they're surrounded with, they are richly supplied with the network of blood capillaries, right? If there has to be an exchange of gas, it's not just alveoli singular, they cannot do exchange of gases on their own, right? So with what, with whom are they exchanging the gases? It is the blood vessels, blood capillaries that are surrounding the alveoli. So the blood which is present in the blood capillaries is rich in carbon dioxide. So that carbon dioxide via diffusion from the blood capillaries will move into the alveolus, right, or alveoli, and the oxygen that you have inhaled in, right, which is higher inside the alveolus, it will diffuse out of the alveolus and enters the blood capillaries, and then it is provided to the whole of the body, different parts. That is the exchange of gases, right? So we talked about the different structures. What am I missing? Yes, of course, as you can see, pleural membranes. Now, considering the lungs are very vital organs because they are the chief organs for respiration, right? Very important. So they need to be protected. So for their protection, there are membranes. The lung, each of the lung has membranes. They are known as pleural membranes. Now, inside these two pleural membranes, there is a fluid present, and for the sake of simplicity, it's simply known as pleural fluid. Now, this pleural fluid will provide lubrication for the free movement of the lungs, because the lungs would be contracting, expanding during inhalation and exhalation. So to make that movement easier without any friction, and to add lubrication, that is the job of pleural fluid. So we have discussed almost all the structures. Now diaphragm is left, right? You see at the bottom, this diaphragm is a dome-shaped muscular sheath, and it has a significant role in inhalation and exhalation that we're going to deal later on in a detailed video after this, right? Now, what else diaphragm does? Diaphragm separates the thoracic cavity from the abdominal cavity. So we can say that the diaphragm, whatever is present above the diaphragm is the thoracic cavity, and whatever is present below the diaphragm is the abdominal cavity containing stomach, intestines, etc. Right? So diaphragm, it actually distinguishes or differentiates the thoracic cavity from the abdominal cavity. Well, yeah, this is about the human respiratory system, right? And yeah, most of the students have a very, I can say important, a very common misconception that they use breathing and respiration synonymously. However, that is not the case. Breathing, if I have to define, is just a physical process of inhaling air and exhaling, inhaling oxygen-rich air and exhaling carbon dioxide air. There is no chemical reaction, there is nothing new which is being formed. It's just entirely a physical process of inhalation and exhalation. However, when we're talking about respiration, I had already defined it in the beginning of the video. Respiration is a process in which the air that you inhale, it will react with the food, that is oxidation of food, and will result in the release of carbon dioxide that we exhale out, water that is used up in the body, and a lot of energy that of course we use for performing a lot of activities. Like right now I am walking a bit and I'm talking a lot, explaining, trying to make this human respiratory system simple, easy and interesting. Right now also I'm consuming energy. So from where am I deriving this energy? Of course, respiration, right? Respiration is an exothermic process. It releases energy in the form of heat. So with the detailed description of human respiratory system, and I've also unearthed one of the most common misconceptions. But if you remember, let's just go back. When I was talking about the different parts of the human respiratory system, I had told you that larynx is also known as voice box and Adam's apple. Now, voice box, I have given you the explanation. Now, a homework question for you all is, why is larynx also known as Adam's apple, and why is that it is mostly, yeah, 100% we can say, or 99% present in boys and not in girls? Why is that so? Well, that is a question that I am leaving you with. Please do mention the answers in the comment section, and do not forget to also mention what is your takeaway from today. What was the best that you find in today's video or human respiratory system? Were you able to understand it or not? Do also mention it in the comment section. Coming back to a very important point over here, do not forget to support me. Please like, share and subscribe to my channel. Please share it to different people if you found the content useful, and if you think and if you believe that this content can be useful to many of your friends, many of your students, do not hesitate to share it. That would be very grateful for me. So thank you so much everyone for watching this video, and I hope I have made it simple, easy and interesting. Well, for the next video, of course, that I'm going to upload soon. So till then, take very good care of yourselves. Stay happy, healthy, keep smiling, take very good care of yourselves and your family. And what? Stay curious, keep digging, keep researching about some new interesting facts. And if you come across a very interesting fact, do not forget to share it. And how do you share it? Of course, you mention it in the comment section. Let's enlighten everyone. All right? Bye-bye.